Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall,
And I'm Zachary Adamazheimer.
and happy Easter, everybody. That special time of the year that Zach and me celebrate for different reasons.
He is risen indeed, Michael.
So did my Emmental and onion buns this morning.
Nice.
So it was very apt.
Yeah, there you go.
But tomorrow is Cheap Chocolate Day, as I'm sure I'll cover later in the show as well. And that is one of my favourite days of the year. But we've got a lot to talk about. We'll talk Whitecaps in MLS, look ahead to the big Miami game. We'll talk CPL, an interesting week for Vancouver FC on and off the pitch. Round up a good week of action as well. The NSL kicked off. We'll bring you some post-game audio from some of the key people involved in that game on Wednesday night. And also chat with Whitecaps' Sam Adekugbe about his part ownership of Calgary Wild, and a chat with one of the maybe surprising players for the Whitecaps this year, JC Ngando. That's going to come up in part two. All of that is to come. We'll talk our usual fun chat to start things off. How has your week been, Zach?
Oh, Michael, so full, so busy. I think I talked about last week. It was fundraising for the Costa Rica trip. So the week itself had so many different things going on with getting ready for that and all the normal things in a week. Plus, we'll talk about more later. I spent a couple nights in the province of Alberta. Well, I guess one night in the province of Alberta, one night in eastern BC. And
That is on mountain time.
It's true, it is.
It confused the hell out of me when I went there.
It did me as well. It did me as well for a moment.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about that in part three. It was a good trip, Zach and the family had to Cavalry. I had a lovely Saturday surprise. What do I love to wake up to on a Saturday morning?
Football? East Fife winning?
Big Dick. East Fife winning, yes. You were right the first time. Yeah. A bizarre situation played out on Saturday. I've talked about how East Fife have basically thrown away the championship, and even getting promoted might not be on the cards. Well, East Fife came away with a 2-0 victory on Saturday, cutting the lead at the top to Peterhead to 1 point. Peterhead going down to a 4-0 defeat. Who do East Fife play next week? Peterhead. 2 games left, and it's in our own hands again.
And just for maybe first-time listeners, if you could tell them who Dick is, so they're...
Our manager.
What's his last name?
Dick Campbell.
Dick Campbell.
It's the Campbell brothers. His brother Ian is the assistant, but no one calls him Ian. They call him Pink.
Dick and Pink.
Dick and Pink.
There you go.
Not Dick in Pink, Dick and Pink. Important to properly enunciate the words there. It's weird, though, calling a 70-year-old man Pink. But that's how... Oh, Pink, how's it going?
There you go.
Know how to answer that. But
there you go.
Let me tell you something else funny from Saturday that got revealed. East Fife's form's been terrible. If East Fife had lost on Saturday and Peterhead had won, Peterhead would have won the league.
Oh, wow.
So, what was fed back to East Fife was Peterhead brought crates of champagne with them to the game, asked Elgin to put it in their fridge, and then got pumped 4-0, and if they lose next week, might not win the league.
That's crazy.
That is funny. I hope they had T-shirts and everything as well. Scottish football. One other thing to talk about to kick things off. Did you see the new poster for Vancouver for the World Cup?
Yeah, because you wouldn't stop going on about it.
Well, just once. I've got to say, my thoughts on it have actually changed. When I first saw it outside BC Place, I went to a FIFA soiree on Tuesday afternoon. The poster, when I saw it outside BC Place, I was like, oh, that's really cool. The more I look at it, and I've looked at the other city posters, it kind of leaves a bit to be desired. There's an awful lot of white on it. Or open space, I should say.
Yes, there is that.
I had a look. The Athletic actually did an article this weekend on all the World Cup posters. So I'll send that to you. You can maybe talk about that in a future show. Some of them are fantastic, and some of them leave a lot to be desired. Vancouver's is kind of in the middle. I do like the design. I just feel there's too much white.
Yeah, and the only white you like is Brian, right?
Yeah, Brian White, yeah. And Christmases. Do like a white Christmas.
Speaking of Brian White, did you hear that he was the player of the week after his scoreboard performance?
Yes.
But are you concerned, Michael, that he didn't get enough of the...
How can you score 4 goals and still get 63% of the vote for player of the week?
From the media?
Yeah. And 59% from the fans, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because people shouldn't, like, Americans shouldn't be allowed to just vote in general. Yeah, I mean, you see where that gets you.
You tweeted about this, right? I think I saw you tweeting.
But one player scored more goals than any other team on the Saturday and the same amount of goals as Portland did on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And he gets 63% of the vote for player of the week. What did Messi do a pass or a nutmeg or something and get the other 37%?
It was a pretty stark example of how little respect a team like Vancouver is given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably some folk that had no idea that Brian White had even scored 4 goals. They've only maybe looked at the Eastern Conference or something. It was an early kickoff though, so they should have seen that. Yeah, I mean, I was stunned by that. But one last thing before we get into the Whitecap stuff. So I've spent a bit of time this week fleshing out our football dating app idea from last week.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
So I've come up with a couple of names and a tagline or two. So see what he thinks. Tell me where you'd put these names for our... I think this is a great idea. A dating app for football fans. Score in a minute. That's maybe a speed dating app. Bangers only. That's just for folk that want some no strings attached fun.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of balls. That could just be for everyone. Could be a gay dating app. I mean, we don't know. It could maybe rival Grindr. The bulging onion bag.
I don't like the onion bag.
No, the other 3 you liked.
The onion bag. Who was that? Who used to say that on Champions League games or something? Some dude, and it was not enjoyable.
It's such an old phrase. I still pull it out.
There's a bulge in the old onion bag. I hate it.
Yeah, I still pull it out every now and again. But here's my tagline for whatever we go with the dating app. I say we. I'm going to get you on board with this startup. We'll make a lot of money here. If you don't score, then your money back.
I think score in a minute is pretty funny.
I like bangers only as well.
Yeah, bangers only. There's someone who has a Twitter handle already though.
Does she scores bangers?
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, both those have potential. I mean, I would say I have no interest in a dating app personally.
Oh, I mean, but we're not going to use it. We'd have to try it, obviously, first to make sure it works and stuff.
Yeah, so you just want to make money off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All about the money.
I don't want to make money off of being a part of an app that just...
Let's get back to talking Whitecaps. I think that's the way to get us out of this whole... Oh, that could be another... No. Whitecaps, St. Louis.
There's not a lot to talk about.
No, we're going to rattle through this. That's why the first introduction took so long, because this is a very brief discussion we're going to have before we get into rounding up the MLS action. No goals, 1 shot on target from the Whitecaps, 2 shots on target from St. Louis. Not a great game. For me, it was the Whitecaps' worst performance of the year. I know they lost to Chicago, whereas this was an away point, and any away point is a good point, especially when you're going against a team like St. Louis. It's a tough place to go. But in the Chicago game, I felt they created. They just didn't take their chances, and they were hit with some goals. This one, they just lacked something. They felt disjointed. They felt a little flat. Some of it you can maybe understand. There's been a lot of travel. There's been a lot of games. 8 games already this year. I was looking through our photos, and it's like Tom and Caroline's already shot 8 games at BC Place this year for the Whitecaps.
And I know they've more than made up for him on so many occasions, but you also have to remember there's no Ryan Gold.
Yeah.
Right?
And Brian White can't do it game in, game out, and especially when he gets no service whatsoever.
Well, that's the thing, that Brian White's typically not the guy who makes goals out of nothing. He has, of course, done that, but in general, that's not his MO. So, yeah. But I mean, it's an away point, another clean sheet. There are positives, I think, to take away.
Yeah. I mean, other results around MLS West hugely went in the Whitecaps' favour, and they still have their 4-point lead at the top, and they've negotiated an away game against Western opposition. The lineup was strong. I thought Sam Adekugbe was going to get the start in this because he trained on Wednesday, trained on Thursday, then was ruled out. So I think they're taking it gently with him. I would have liked to have seen him maybe get some minutes with a look ahead to Thursday, but we'll come to that in the next part. But I mean, on the whole, there was 2 changes to the last game, but this is a very strong starting lineup, arguably the strongest one they could have put out for this.
When I spoke to Sam on the day Mosquito was unveiled, he was hoping to be back in the lineup by now. So
did Jesper say he was a couple of weeks away?
No, Sam felt at that point he might only be a week or so away. And that was how many weeks ago now? Like 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago?
He looked good when he was scrimmaging on Wednesday. So maybe he felt something, or they just didn't want to risk the flight. But, I mean, hopefully he is back soon. I mean, Tate Johnson's doing well in his plays, but that experience goes a long, long way in some big games. First 10 minutes in this one, the Whitecaps looked good. They were on the front foot. They started with an energy. And I thought, here we go, another good performance. But then they just faded. St. Louis with a better team for the rest of the first half, without really carving out too many clear-cut chances. There was the disallowed goal. We were having a little chat about this before we recorded. Now, if I'm a St. Louis fan, or if it went against my team, I'd be annoyed, I'd be pissed off. But by the letter of the law, it was the right decision. I just think it's a stupid law.
I mean, if you're a Canadian supporter, this is like a Atiba goal against the U.S. where...
Well, yeah, but that was so many years ago, and everything's changed since then.
No, I know, but it was like that, where like the defender...
Valum's offside as...
And the defender plays the ball. The defender plays the ball and sends it in a different direction.
So in olden times, it was the second phase.
Yeah.
But with the rules now, it's still phase 1 because he was offside on the initial phase. Yes, he got back on side. Yes, it was a deflection. It doesn't matter. In the initial first part of the thing, he was in an offside position when the pass came through.
But that's
so
the
if
thing,
the defender had been there and he got onto it, he would have been offside.
It's not a deflection. The Whitecaps player wins the ball.
Well, yeah. I'm saying deflection, but it comes off the Whitecaps player. But I mean, by the letter of the law, that is the rules. St. Louis fans strongly disagree with it. I think it is a harsh rule. I did like the old thing that it'd be the second phase by that point.
You and I were talking a player like Ruud van Nistelrooy would have had half his goals chopped off.
Yeah. I mean, you look back at a lot of the goals back in the day and it's like they wouldn't count now. But it's the same with other rules and things as well. Also tackles and everything's changed. But I mean, at that point when St. Louis opened the score and I was like, oh no, this is going off the rails. Whitecaps dodged a bullet and St. Louis didn't really offer very much. I mean, I think a draw was a fair result at the end of the day. The second half, the Whitecaps dominated play, but again, without carving out any clear-cut chances. They controlled possession. Key crosses into the box were lacking. Final balls just weren't there. Some of the deliveries just not as good. The creative spark just wasn't there at all. Not much more to say really about this one.
Who was it Brian White who had that sort of one chance where he went in alone?
Rios had a shot that was blocked. White, I think, was played in and was forced wide. Oh, yes. White was played in and he was forced wide. But Rios was to his left, and the right thing for White to have done was to play Rios in. He was wide open. He'd have been in on goal. But White just waited too long. Then that pass wasn't on, and he ended up being forced wide, and it came to nothing.
Yeah.
And that was about as good as it got for the Caps. So not really too much more to say about that one. I did love Ocampo in this. He was really winding up the St. Louis fans. Like, he got kicked in the chest, but the way he rolled about after the kick pissed the St. Louis fans off. Then every time he got the ball, he was booed. He had a big grin on his face as well. He's the perfect guy to play that kind of role on the road. He doesn't care. He'll just do it. I don't like the rolling about and the overacting. Contact was made, but yeah, I did get a bit of a smile at that. I mean, even if you're looking at players that stood out in this one, like, no one was poor, no one was great. It was all just kind of a bit meh.
Yeah, not a lot of positives, but I think a point well earned. And like I said earlier, I think Jesper will be happy with that, and also with the clean sheet. And
yeah,
seems mostly unscathed squad, so they got bigger fish to fry this week in some senses.
Well, yeah, and it was another clean sheet. That's important. Still unbeaten on the road this season. Last two games, though, on the road have both been goalless. Interesting, both of them being on grass as well, but they did win in Dallas, and that is also on grass. Clean sheet, as we mentioned, 5th now overall in league play this year. So, I mean, 5 from 9 games is pretty darn good defensively. They still got the best defensive record in all of MLS. Now, the results, as mentioned, in the West, we won't delve into all the games thoroughly, but I watched a lot of them, and results most certainly went in the Whitecaps' favour. So the action in the West, it kicked off. The early game was Austin against Galaxy. Another defeat for the defending champs. They look all out of sorts just now. Still looking for their first win of the season. Winning goal came from Brandon Vasquez. He had a penalty. It was saved. He followed in, tucked it away. Austin finished the game with 10 men. A very weird sending off. The guy that got the ball smacked in his face last week, Brendan Hines Ike, got a red card this week. So he's not having the best of time of it out there. It seemed to be that he said something to the referee and got a straight red.
Just bring up that
thinking
goal.
Back to that incident last week.
Kirk's laughing.
I mean, he might still be concussed from that, and that's why he doesn't know what he's doing anymore.
Oh my!
But yeah, a Galaxy, 9 games played, no wins, 6 defeats, 3 draws, bottom of the West on 3 points, 4 points adrift of the nearest team, and joint worst in MLS with Montreal. How the mighty have fallen. And it's like, you can put it down to that they had players missing, but Paintsol's back now, so the only key guy they're missing is Ricky Puig. Are they really that much of a one-man team that just missing Puig, it all falls apart?
I mean, he is a massive player.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's concerning if it's just one guy who's going to cause that much stuff for you. Other results, a lot of early-ish games for the teams in the West. San Diego went down to a 3-0 loss at Charlotte. Charlotte topping the East and doing really well. Sounders, big 3-0 win for them over Nashville. Houston, Colorado played out a 2-2 draw. That was a good one for the Whitecaps. Minnesota and Dallas played out a 0-0 draw. Another good one for the Whitecaps. Maybe a stunning result this weekend. Toronto went to RSL.
Yeah.
Got their first win of the season in a 1-0 win. Theo Corbeau with a goal and a interesting celebration.
Horrible celebration.
Doing the Ronaldo. It's like you scored for a bad team against RSL.
Did you see the red card in that game?
I didn't, but Diego Luna, I know, got it, but I didn't see it. So if you saw it, tell me what happened.
I think it was Peretta. It was just a corner kick, and him and Peretta were kind of intertwined. And Peretta, I think, sort of like throws his weight into him and brings them both down. And then as Luna's getting up, he sort of like stomps on. He sort of like, he sort of just like kicks out or stomps on him, and got sent off. But Corbeau, it was the only goal of the game, right? It was a 1-0.
Yeah.
So as horrible as the celebration was, it's huge for Toronto.
Yeah. Maybe turn the corner. They have played well in the last couple of games, I've got to say. Or maybe well's maybe a stretch. I mean, they got a draw in Miami, which is a feat in itself, but they've put in some good performances. So I think they might be starting to turn the corner. It's Montreal that you've got to be worried about now. They're just, I don't know how they turn their season around. Like, if only they had a really talented young player in their academy that they could promote. More on that in part 3. Sporting dispatched San Jose 5-3 in an absolute barn burner of a game. Great win for KC, who are playing lovely free-flowing stuff now that Peter Vermees is gone.
Yeah, that's interesting, eh?
I mean, San Jose, such a stacked roster and an attack, and Martinez scores, Arango gets 2, but they can't defend for shit. If you're giving up 5 goals to Sporting Kansas City, you've got a lot of soul searching and questions to
hopefully
do.
their defenders are getting paid money.
They shouldn't be. Putting in performances like that. And I've saved what I feel was the game of the weekend to last. I watched this one in full on delay. I didn't watch it live. I was doing some other stuff and then caught it on delay. Portland 3, LAFC 3. I was hoping for a draw from a Whitecaps perspective.
I have watched the highlights of that one.
Portland would have gone second, 2 points behind the Whitecaps if they'd got the win here, and it looked like they were going to get it. They took the lead from the spot, Felipe Mora, 8 minutes in. Santiago Moreno then put Portland 2-0 up 3 minutes from half-time. You thought they were going to go in with the lead, but then, I mean, I never thought I would see this day, Zach, and to actually witness it, it was phenomenal. Olivier Giroud scored a goal in MLS. He needed to hit it off the bar. It was a good free kick. I just thought it was snake bitten. I genuinely thought this day was never going to happen. I thought it was like a Whitecap striker coming in as a DP. Imagine if like Giroud was linked once with the Whitecaps.
It's true.
There we go. That fits perfectly. He wouldn't have scored for us either.
No, I think he would have scored way more for Vancouver because he would have been relied on even more.
Yeah, but I mean, he took it well. I'm joking. And obviously, he is a very talented player, even if he did snub Har and me and wouldn't speak to us after one of the games here. So 2-1 Portland leading at halftime, and you thought that goal's going to give a bit of a boost to LAFC. Now, when Mora had opened the score in 8 minutes in, Baranga had the ball in the net about a minute straight from the kickoff.
Oh, yeah.
It was ruled out for offside. I can't remember which one of the 2 Barango goals was very similar to the St. Louis goal that got chopped off, but it was one of the 2.
Yep.
Ball in the back of the net twice. But then second half, underway, David Martinez ties it up for LAFC, and you thought, this is just what LAFC do. Portland's throwing it away. But no, 2 minutes later, Mora again finds the back of the net. It's 3-2 to Portland. The fans are in a frenzy. And I thought they were going to see this one out, but they didn't. A penalty, video review. When you see it back, I mean, to me, there's no doubt it's a penalty. Buanga gets his foot stepped on. It's just unfortunate. It's clumsy. But yeah, it's a penalty. He picks himself up, slots it away. The game finishes 3-3. But that wasn't really the main talking points towards the end of the game. Because I was talking to you about this. Steve Cherundolo got sent off for protesting, and then he got a straight red because he accidentally, I'm sure he will say, went over the touchline and briefly and very small amount went on the pitch and got a red. Well, he got a yellow, I think, initially, and then said something and got a red.
Yeah, it was I would agree with Phil Neville. It was very, very poor.
Phil Neville, after the game, said that Cherundolo should never have got a red card, and in any other league around the world, he wouldn't have got sent off.
No, shockingly bad.
But then Neville got throwing his players away from the referee at the end.
He got a yellow card, yeah. That was stupid too. So it shows you how poor the decision-making of the referee is when it comes to dealing with coaches. But if you're LAFC and your head coach gets sent off, you're in good hands.
Oh, yes. Well, Cherundolo had announced this week that he is leaving LAFC at the end of the season. I thought he was leaving on Saturday night. I thought that red card was the end of it. Him and his family have decided to step down at the end of the year, and they're going to move back to Germany.
Probably, I'm guessing, Hanover, but who knows?
I mean, you've got to wonder if the political situation in the US factors into that, or if it's just the family were missing Germany, wanted to go back. Could Mark DeSantis take them over, or will they look at bringing a big name in?
Well, we know Mark totally could take them over. It'll be interesting.
I think Vanny comes in as head coach with Mark as his assistant. Or Mark steps up to head coach and Vanny comes in as his assistant.
I think you and I both know that neither of those things are happening.
Yes, but it's fun to speculate. The carnage that would then happen there.
Quote unquote fun.
Yeah, it would be. I think it'd be entertaining. Phil Neville afterwards in his post-game media presser said what a great advert that was for MLS. Well, from the playing point of view, not the officials.
He's not wrong.
Fine, he went off a bit on the officials. But yeah, it was a good weekend for the Whitecaps, considering they dropped a couple of points. They still keep their 4-point lead at the top. They're still top in the Supporters' Shield as well. 4-point lead over Austin and Minnesota on 16. They play Minnesota next Sunday, and even if they lose that, they're still ahead. They're still top. Portland 4th on 15. Colorado 5th on 15. Then San Diego, LAFC, Seattle and Dallas, all above the playoff line. San Jose, Salt Lake, St. Louis, Kansas, Houston, all below it. And then LA Galaxy adrift at the bottom, 9 points back from the playoffs right now, after just 9 games. Don't think anyone saw that one coming. But that is our MLS roundup. We've got more Whitecaps chat coming up in the next part as we turn our attention to the big game coming up on Thursday and bring you our interview for this week. And we'll be back with that after this episode's song from our album of the month.
Hi, I'm Tate Johnson, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Do I double my dose? I don't wanna end up comatose. Screaming in the streets at another protest. Aaron's on fire, no one's noticed. All these years the doctor said nothing's wrong. Not the witch doctor who fed me fish pills to make me strong. Not the OBGYN who didn't know I wasn't eating and gave me a long speech on relaxation and reading. And now I'm finished with the novel and I'm working on my thesis. Yeah, I'm finished with the novel and I'm working on my thesis. What do I do? Do I double my dose? I don't wanna end up comatose. Sucking off guys who love when I joke. Ha ha ha, I'm a real big joke. All those years my mom said that nothing's wrong. It's okay to wanna be skinny and wear your blonde hair long. I could help you lose a little weight, be a weight that could even help me with a tie to solve a hate. If you get a little thinner, you could be a movie star. Who wouldn't wanna be a pretty little movie star? What do I do? Do I double my dose? I don't wanna end up comatose. Mom wouldn't say it, but she's gone broke. Her accountant called, I'm not picking up the phone. All these years I've known that something's wrong. All these years I've known that something's wrong. Now something's really wrong with me. Yes, something's really wrong. I'm feeling bad.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's this episode's song from our album of the month. The album in question is the debut one from Brooklyn singer-songwriter Camille Schmidt. The album's called Nude Number 9. It came out in January this year, and that is track 5 from it, Fish Pills. And you can find Nude Number 9 and all of Camille Schmidt's stuff on Bandcamp and all the usual places. If you've enjoyed what we've been playing from her so far this month, go and check out all her stuff in all the usual places. We've got another song from Camille coming up to kick off the next part, but we're going to get back to the football chat now, and we're going to get back talking Whitecaps in this part. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot on this show, on our guest appearances on other podcasts, is how good it is that the players can just come in, come out of the lineup, whoever comes in, whoever is playing, doesn't feel like a downgrade in quality. And that is especially true in the defence and also in the midfield. Maybe not as strong as we've seen defensively, but certainly in the midfield. The Whitecaps midfield built around Andres Kubis with a great supporting cast around him. Sebastian Berhalter just going from strength to strength, season upon season. Pedro Viti, when he's in the midfield role, has excelled. Ryan Gauld can drop back to the midfield if they want him as well, playing as a 10 in a midfield 3. There's strong depth out on the wing in midfield as well, whether they're playing left midfield, left wing, right wing, however you want to look at it. And then also in the centre of the park, Ralph Priso. We've talked on the show how last year, I'll admit, wasn't a big fan of Ralph Priso. He has turned my thoughts around this season. I think he's having an excellent second season with the Whitecaps, and when he comes on, I feel comfortable that he's just going to slot in that role, do what needs to be done. And the other player that hasn't surprised me as much, because I had high expectations of him, but I know many people have been surprised by the form of him, is 25-year-old French midfielder Jean-Claude Ngando. Now, JC was born in Douala in Cameroon, moved with his family to Paris at a very early age, came through the football ranks there at youth level, played with Amiens 2, Paris FC 2, and then once COVID hit and football was suspended across Europe, the pandemic made JC just think and evaluate his options, and he decided to look to new horizons, headed over to the US, playing with the University of North Carolina Greensboro Spartans, had 2 years in 2021 and 2022 there, was drafted by the Whitecaps in the 2023 MLS Super Draft, with the Whitecaps actually trading with Houston and giving them quite a bit in gam so that they could move up to the number 5 spot in the pecking order because they wanted to get JC Ngando. Generation Adidas player. His quality was quite clear to see, but he spent most of that first season in 2023 with Whitecaps 2. Made 13 appearances in MLS Next Pro, but he did feature in the first team under Vanni Sartini. 8 appearances in the league, 5 appearances in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, Champions League as it was back in 2023, but he never quite made that breakthrough into the first team. So Whitecaps wanted to see him develop, he wanted to get playing time, so he went out on loan to the USL Championship for the 2024 season, played with Las Vegas Lights, 38 appearances he made for the Lights last year, 2 goals, 5 assists, played over 3,400 minutes, regular starter, regular contributor and a key player for the Lights as they got all the way to the USL Western Championship game. Fell short at that hurdle, and JC's time in Las Vegas came to an end. Came back to the Whitecaps. I spoke quite glowingly about him in the podcast last year, was really looking forward to seeing what he could do with the Whitecaps this year. But then the Whitecaps didn't pick up his option, and I thought, well, that's maybe the end of it. But then they did come back, pick up his option, and he has been a player that has really thrived under Jesper Sorensen And he's already got 14 appearances under his belt for the Whitecaps this year, 8 in MLS action, 6 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. He's got his first assist in MLS play as well. And he's also started 3 of the MLS games for the Whitecaps. And really is proven to be one of the surprises of the season. Player definitely to watch. Like what he brings, he seems to really thrive when he's on the pitch beside the likes of Ali Ahmed and Sebastian Berhalter in particular. He's got really good link-up play with them. And I got a chance to chat with JC at Whitecaps training this past week just to talk about his season so far and how he's feeling going into a big cup semi-final. Here's what he had to tell me. So, JC, it's been a great start to the year for you. How has these first 2 months of the season been for you on a personal level?
Very good. I don't have to complain. The team has been playing good. It's a new coach, a new system, and I feel like everybody bought in. So it's not even just for me, just being able to be a part of this collective helped a lot to be able to play. Yeah.
Now, last year you were down in Las Vegas. I watched a lot of your games, and the team was playing well, you were playing well, you had the championship game. What was that experience like for you? How did that help your game develop?
I won't say less my game developed, but just playing. Because I came here in 2023, I think, after I got drafted. Didn't really play any game. So going to my second season, I didn't want to go back to the same process. I wanted to play football. It wasn't really happy for my process or not happy for my process. Just play football, enjoy my football, enjoy my life. That was it.
What was it like in Las Vegas? I mean, you're from a big city, but what was it like there? I think folk just see the other side of it, but to be a footballer there and to play football there, what was that whole experience like?
I think it depends on what you have in your mind and what you're going there for. I went there to play football, so I was just focused on playing football. And I wasn't really living in Vegas, so I don't really know how the life is in Vegas.
Okay. Yeah. So the team this year, flying top of the table, semi-final of the Champions Cup. Looking back at that game in Mexico City against Pumas, what was it like to be part of that?
Amazing. Just being about a part of a group that never give up, always believe in each other. That was amazing to just see that. Regardless of how the game was going, regardless of how the score was, we always believe in each other and believe in what we've been working on. So it was amazing to be a part of it.
I think one of the good things that we've seen about the team this year is no matter who comes in, you all know your roles, you're all playing the same way. Everyone talks about how the team here, it's a big bond. How does that feel in the locker room right now?
I think that's a big testament about the coach. Having all the players being able to come in at any time and being able to play the right way. It's a big testament that everybody bought into what the coach brought. And when you come to the guys in the locker, I think it's just about the mentality. We came here, we like to be here, we want to be around each other and just make it easier to play football together.
The Miami game that's coming up, it's a star-studded team. The way that we're playing, I feel we can go and get a result against Miami without a problem. Is it going to be quite easy just to kind of switch off all the kind of circus that goes around the team? Because there's going to be fans there just cheering for Messi. There's going to be pink in the stands. Does that motivate you more? Can you block all that other stuff out?
To be honest, it's fans cheering for Messi, not cheering for Messi, cheering for us, not cheering for us. I don't think that changed the way we want to play football. I don't think we play football for Messi. We play football for us because we like to do the game. So regardless of who's in the stand, who's not in the stand, when I see a ball and I'm on the field, I just want to play football. I don't really care about who's watching or who's not watching.
That's good. That's what I wanted to hear. Last thing, if this team can get to a cup final, when you're a young boy and you're growing up and you have all these dreams as to what you can do, what would that mean to you?
Being honest with you, my big thing is my faith. It's I won't say soccer is my biggest dream. I love to play the game. I enjoy being in the field. I enjoy playing the game, but my biggest thing is my faith. So, winning the Champions Cup, it won't change my life because at the end of the day, it's I think I have a better thing to handle. My family is more important. My faith is more important. So it's that's my focus in life,
Are your family able to watch the games? Have they been watching you this year? What are they saying about how well both you and the team are doing just now?
My dad has been watching more games, my other brother too, and they're enjoying watching the games. It's not even about me playing or not playing. It's my dad is big on just football. Doesn't matter if I play or don't play. If a team play good, he's going to watch. If they don't play good, he's going to tell me we're not playing good. So you just enjoy watching games in general.
Cool. Are you going to come and see at any point? Or
sometime in the summer, I think.
That's good. Thanks. You've had a great start to the season. It's been great watching you. JC and Ngando there, talking about the good season that he's had. And, I mean, you'll love him, Zach. Faith, very important to his life. Faith and family, his two driving forces. For him, football's just a fun thing that he does. But he's doing it very well this year.
Yeah, I hope maybe one time I can snag a conversation with him and you.
Yeah, I was actually thinking as I was talking to him there, it would have been good to have you along. We could have chatted a little bit more about that. And I mean, faith is very important to him, and it's nice to see that he's so grounded as well. Like, he doesn't care if Messi plays or not. He doesn't care if the fans are all there to cheer on Miami on Thursday. He'll just go out, do his thing, play his game, excel like he's been doing this year, and that's the attitude you want.
Yeah.
We'll kind of preview the Miami game now for the rest of this part, but you don't want the players to be overawed by the occasion.
No.
I don't think they will be in the slightest. And I think those two victories down in Mexico have done a lot to the psyche of the team.
Yeah.
Because this will kind of feel potentially like an away game. What the Whitecaps need to do in this one is to try and win the crowd over so that they are a home team crowd. Now, there's going to be pink jerseys in the crowd, we know that. There's going to be lots of folk there just to see Messi. We'll come to that.
The away team stuff's not allowed at least in the supporter area.
Yeah, in the supporter section, but elsewhere in the stadium, there will be pink. And we know folks going to be there to see Messi. I genuinely don't care if he plays in this game or not. Would it be great to see him playing against my team in Vancouver? 100%. Would I enjoy it? Yeah. Great occasion. For my Whitecaps, I want them to win and get into the final. It plays in the Whitecaps' favour if Messi doesn't play, because Miami, they're still a good team, but they're a shadow of the team without his influence.
Absolutely.
Suarez as well, who's having a bit of a ropey season. That turf, for both of them, it's not great. And I mean, like, everyone is asking, is Messi going to play? Well, we won't know. Is he injured? Well, we don't know. The game against Columbus on Saturday, I watched this. It was a really good game. Columbus were excellent. And the game plan that Columbus had in that match is what the Whitecaps need to adopt. But like, Columbus really, really took the game to Miami, had them on the back foot. It looked like Miami didn't have an answer to them either. But Columbus squandered opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. They really could have had 3 or 4 goals in that second half. And if the Whitecaps can play like that, but bring the finishing that they did against Austin, very different teams, then, I mean, there's nothing to stop them putting a couple of goals away on Thursday night. Taylor Twellman was on Messi watch, as he is in a lot of his commentary. And I had noticed after one of the kicks that Messi had forward, he grimaced. And I was like, ooh.
Is he just a fan? Or maybe he's sponsored by Ronald McDonald?
Hey, maybe. But I did wonder, has he tweaked his groin again? And Twellman said, last 20 minutes of the match, Messi has not been mobile. Now, Messi's not the most mobile player anymore anyway, but he was even less mobile than usual, and he was kind of strolling around there. But you would have thought if he was in discomfort, Mascherano would have taken him off. And he didn't. But Twellman again said afterwards, and he might be blowing this up more than it's in it, that Messi went off the pitch limping. Now, post-game, Mascherano played it down, but he would do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is he injured? Now, folk are like, of course he's not going to come. As I said, I don't care if he does or not. It kind of helps with the circus. Helps me a little bit because I'm going to see Mogwai on Thursday night. And I thought it was the usual 10:30 start at the Commodore, but it looks like they're going to be on at 9 or 9:15. So I either have to miss the end of the match or the first half hour of Mogwai. And they're one of my all-time favourite bands. Yes, I've seen them in double digits, but it's a quandary, a dilemma.
It is.
I'm going to have to miss the post-game no matter what. So I'd be quite happy if Messi's not there. Not that we're going to get to speak to him anyway. But if Messi's fit, focusing, he's not going to play. But something that fans need to be aware of, Miami need to win both legs of this match.
Yeah, you were telling me about this.
If they've got a chance to host the final. With a new point system where you get 3 points for a win that decides and determines first leg, second leg hosting or final hosting, if Miami can win both legs, they will host the final.
Now, what about Vancouver?
Vancouver can still host the final, but they also have to win both legs, and they need Cruz Azul and Tigres to draw both legs, and for that to go to penalties.
So you're telling me there's a chance? There's
a chance, BC Place. If there's not a trade show or some book event maybe on, or I don't know, motocross or some bizarre contortionists exhibition, could be hosting the Champions Cup final. I haven't checked the calendar.
They could just put it at Swangard.
Could be guinea pig racing that day or something.
Guinea pig.
I'd watch that. I had 2 guinea pigs, Mr. Porky and Tanner.
I think that's called cruelty to animals now, Michael, unfortunately.
I don't know if I told you the story before, but my vet in Scotland, when you went to them, when they called you for your turn, they would call you by your animal's name. That's when I learned calling an animal Mr. Porky. It's not great. The vet shouts, Mr. Porky, and then I stand up.
Oh, my.
Really shouldn't have named my...
No.
My dog, Biggest Dickus. Got me a few phone numbers, though. Anyway, back to the Miami game. There's one for our dating app. So, another fun little wrinkle with this, Miami can't train at BC Place on the Wednesday.
Now,
and
is that a pro
they're
or is
not
that a
happy
con?
about it.
Is that a pro or a con? I guess.
Well, they're possibly thinking it as a con because they can't get used to the pitch. It's probably going to be a pro because it's not going to kill their players even more.
Exactly.
The reason for it is, as we all know, AC/DC are playing on Tuesday night. Now, it's normally a 48-hour teardown from the concert, but they've been told you need to do it quicker than that. We need to have that stadium ready for Thursday. But because of that, and the special circumstances of the game, as things currently stand, now things may change. Miami won't be able to train at BC Place. So I wonder they might even just fly in on the Wednesday and not bother training. 6-hour flight. They've also got the disadvantage. They have to, like both teams play on Sunday, and yeah, the Whitecaps have to travel to Minnesota, but they're going from Minnesota to Miami.
Right.
Whereas Miami have to fly to Vancouver, fly back from Vancouver, play Dallas. So they've had the 2 journeys that will sap them a little bit, 2 6-hour journeys, barring any delays as well. So that could play in the Whitecaps' favour. I also can't wait to see all these superstars' faces when they see the porta cabin showers. Not that I think they'll let me in the showers to see their faces, but I will send our photographers, Tom and Caroline, to try and get some photos.
Oh, my.
I'm looking forward to this one. I genuinely feel the Whitecaps have a real chance. The lineup, I think, will be strong. I think we'll see a couple of tweaks from the team that started against St. Louis. I think we'll see Rios get the start. I'd imagine Brian White gets the start and they don't do what they do, but I think we could see Rios come in. They might keep Sabi on the bench to bring him off for a late run at maybe some tiring Miami defenders on the turf. That said, I really would love to see Ahmed tear up one wing, Sabi tear up the other, and White in the middle, whipping in the crosses. That could be delicious out there.
Yeah.
If Sam is fit, I think he could get the start over Tate Johnson just to have that experience in there. It's a lot. I know Tate Johnson's done well. He's handled himself against big opponents, big games, but to throw him into this 19 rookie, that is asking a lot of him. He's a guy that you'd think Miami would be like, he's somebody that we want to attack up that side.
Obviously, Sam's going to want to play in this game, but do you think that's too much too soon?
I mean, even if you get an hour out of him and then bring Tate on.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You could do that. I still feel Ocampo is just going to go through, whether it's Messi or somebody early on, and it's just going to lead to coming together. Miami are little bitches. It's like constantly at the referees for every little thing in their matches. But this isn't MLS refs, this is CONCACAF refs. So either they'll be overawed by some of the star power, or they'll be like, yeah, we don't give a shit. So it's going to be interesting. My request for the supporters as well, obviously cheer on the Whitecaps. And I want to hear the Suarez chant. Your teeth are offside. Your teeth are offside. Luis Suarez, your teeth are offside.
You trying to get him to bite someone again?
That'd be good. Him and Ocampo coming together. Last thing about this game, I just hope it's a good spectacle. I hope the Whitecaps don't go into this shell. I don't think they will. They're a team that play in the front foot. They don't need to change their MO. Everything about their style is made to give Miami problems. They struggle with teams that want the ball and have the ball. I genuinely think they can get a result on Thursday. If they can keep the clean sheet, that's massive. I would take 0-0 because of that clean sheet. But if the Whitecaps can get a 1 or 2 goal lead and a clean sheet to take into the second leg, I mean, opportunity abounds.
Yeah, it's with the away goals rule in effect, it is really, really, really important. And you're right. If they could get a clean sheet, that would be a dream, I think, because then it's all to play for, even if they don't actually score at home. So,
and it's the one thing they've not done in the last 2 games that you thought it was going to cost them, and then they've dug it out. But going down to Miami, as we saw with LAFC, it's a whole different animal.
Kettle of fish, yeah.
Yeah. Last thing to talk about CONCACAF in this part, the rankings came out for the clubs this week. I don't know if you saw that. Whitecaps ranked 9th in all of CONCACAF.
Top 25 in the continent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, fantastic, because it gets them better seeding next season. They will definitely avoid a Mexican team in the first round. But when you look at the top 3, Cruz Azul's first, Miami is second, Tigres are third, and that's the other 3 teams in the semi-finals.
Yeah, totally. Is the stadium actually sold out?
Yeah, well, 54,000.
Yeah, okay.
Because there is reduced capacity because they're doing some work and some sections are closed down.
That's great. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun night.
Should be a great occasion, should be a great atmosphere. I really hope it's a pro-Vancouver crowd. The best thing the Whitecaps can do, score early and get the crowd on their side.
Yeah, it's true.
But in Jesper we trust. He's done marvels so far, and whatever happens over these 2 legs, the team have done us proud, the city proud, themselves proud. Can they get to a final? You wouldn't have fancied this if we're talking about... You'd have thought we were insane if we're talking... Come the end of April, they're top of the West, they're top of the Supporters' Shield, they're 3 games away from the 2029 Club World Cup. What a start it's been. What a time to be alive. But that is it for the Whitecaps chat. We're going to turn our attention to the CPL in the next part, and we'll be back with that after another song from Camille Schmidt.
Hey, I'm Fafa Pico, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Can't get myself to shower, sleeping like 17 hours, searching for some inner power. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, get out of it, get out of it. There's a pigeon lying on the street, puffed body, clenched little feet. A man's crouching over it saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, get out of it, get out of it. It's hard to be around you and not want to kill you. You made me hate myself and still I stayed with you. I handcuffed myself to the bed, parlaying affirmations. One day I'll feel good again if I can make it through this addiction. The world will bloom beautiful beyond prediction.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part's another song from Camille Schmidt, not from her debut album, but from her debut EP that was released in June 2024. Good Person is the name of the EP. It was re-released in January this year with a couple of extra tracks on it, and that's the standout track on it for me, Wake Up. I'll tell you who's woken up. Both the VFCs and the CPL getting their first point of the season with two very, very good away performances from both the teams. We'll talk into which one we feel was the better of the two. I think I know what you're going to say.
No, that's pretty simple, Michael. You did see the goal they conceded, right?
I saw the goal that they scored as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's
scrappy, I think we could describe that. Yeah, but we're going to do our CPL roundup in this part, but we're going to start it off. We didn't talk about it at the start, but we'll talk about it now. Zach and family. It was a Meisenhammer? I've changed your name. It was a Meisenheimer family vacation.
Yeah, it was great.
For you, headed through the Rockies. Thankfully, no snow. Although I did see in the forecast there was meant to be snow on the Saturday coming back, but you can tell us about that. How was your trip to Cavalry?
Yeah, we had a wonderful family getaway. It's been a little while since we've gone anywhere, I guess maybe than the island together, all four of us. So that was a lot of fun. We left Thursday right after my wife was done work, and we went up the old highway number 1 there. We ended up staying in Golden on the way there.
That was my tip for you. It's a great stop-off point.
Yeah. Anyway, so we stayed in Golden at a little tiny hole-in-the-wall place, which served its purpose. And then woke up in the morning and then drove through, checked in at our hotel in Calgary. Again, another little 3-star, whatever, really dirt cheap place we could stay at, which worked out great for us. And then
a lot of those places are great. It's like we stayed there when we were traveling down the States and stuff, and it's like some Motel 6s can be a bit dodgy depending on the area, but on the whole, it's like... Yeah.
Kirk and I made a stop at a game store, picked up some stuff, which was great. Then we went to the hotel and then went down to the game, got there in good time. Our good friend Hannah had... the good thing about checking into the hotel before going to the game is I got to print off the parking pass this time. So we got to park in the media lot, which was a lot of fun. And then, got there early enough to show. Kirk went once last year, and then my wife and my daughter have never been. So
that was their first time.
Yeah, gave them a whole tour of the place, which was great.
It's a great little venue. Just not even the stadium, but the outskirts of it as well. The statues and it's really nice.
Had a really good time catching up with Mr. Jakowski, Seba's dad. He was there wearing his Eagles kit with his son's name and number on the back, and he had a friend there, so it was good to see him. Yeah, Stefan was there, so we watched the match with Stefan, and our seats are always in the worst possible spot, so we ended up sitting on the grassy knoll closer to the action, which was fun. And then there's a prof I had from back in the day that he lives in Calgary now and is a prof in Calgary, so I got to connect with him, which is great. The hand pie place, they moved it. So I almost didn't get a hand pie, but I did get a hand pie.
I appreciated your photo.
Delicious as usual. Delicious. No one else had a bite, though. So my daughter and wife don't know how good they are, what they were missing out on.
They're lost.
They're lost. But no, it was great. Everything about it was great. Like going to games there is a lot of fun. Like if you're an away fan, if you're from the CPL and you're an away fan and you haven't been there yet, I mean, obviously, Halifax is kind of on everyone's top of everyone's list. If you haven't already gone to Halifax or you can't afford to get to Halifax, but you can go somewhere else, you should be going to games in Calgary. Like, it's so great. It's Kirk's favorite ground in the league. Like, he loves it there.
Mine too, although if I went to Halifax, I might change my mind.
Exactly.
I somehow don't think my trip to Winnipeg's going to change my mind on that.
No, it is not. I can guarantee you that. But no, it was fun. And then the lineup comes out, of course. And I didn't know. There's one thing I didn't know. But did you know that there's something where I think Cavalry have never won a game in April before?
Yeah, I saw all that stuff after it. Scott Strasser put it in his article for us on AFTN. I saw that all over social media as well. I didn't know that. That's a bizarre.
Very bizarre. So I didn't know that because I would have had even more hope going into that game. Because last year I think I was there for a cup game in April that we lost, but then the league match I think technically was in May that we lost. But no, the lineups came out, and again, a few interesting things. Afshin made the one adjustment. It looked like it was more like a 4-2-3-1 with Elaj Ba at left back, Alan Enyu at left center back, Mateo Capagna at right center back, Kunle Dadaluke as our primary choice at right back, and then the holding midfielders, because of Fry, of course, is still suspended. Vasco Fry, still suspended. And I forgot to talk about this last week, but maybe
is that his last game of his suspension?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So amazing center midfield partnership of David Norman back in center midfield.
Yes,
and grew up following in the
looking good in the middle of the park.
Yeah, we'll
come to that.
And then next to him was the man of the match, performance of the match, Emmerich Fotzing.
Yep. You've been waxing lyrical to me about him, and I saw it in this game.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. On the right side was Taryn Campbell, and through the middle was Nicholas Mosqueda, and on the left was Henri. How do you say Henri's last name?
I asked him, and he told me it was Gobu. But on the pronunciation guide, it's Godbu they've got. But he told me himself he was Gobu.
That's why I call him Henri.
Yeah.
And then up top, of course, Alejandro Wiro Diaz. So it was interesting. Anyways, interesting lineup.
And short-handed bench, which we'll come to more when we talk about Pacific.
Well, I don't know what I forgot to ask. So in the post game, I went in and Afshin was there, and he came up to me. He was like, where did the 8 minutes come from? And I was just like, I don't know. But there was a few questions I should have asked him there because I knew I was only not going to be able to ask him.
Well, I haven't even got to hear it because Hannah hasn't uploaded it into the post-game box. So I don't know what was said at all.
I just asked generic questions. I should have maybe asked him a few more specific ones. But I'll ask about that later. I don't know why the bench was short. I don't believe this has anything to do like before because... Yeah,
it's shorter travel. So you'd think Cavalry... that you take the full complement.
So 4 outfield players and a keeper.
Yeah. No centre back.
No centre back, which became an issue, obviously. The side came out just playing really, really well. Like you could tell they were on the same page. They defended like kind of low very well. They pressed at moments, and that really paid off in whatever it was, 20th minute or so when
19th. Taryn did well bringing it forward.
Well, Wiro and Taryn both press at the same time. They close down the center back. Wiro plays the role. Taryn gets the ball, goes in. It's almost like a 2-on-1 and makes a nice pass to Mosqueda. Mosqueda first time left foot and sort of nutmegs Marco. Marco kind of looked weird on it, as did the Cavalry center back. I think it's Montgomery, number 3.
Probably is, yeah.
The thing was, post game, Tommy was just like, he was asked about it, and he's just like, no, he gave a good answer. Actually, he was like, no, this is who we are. Like, we play out of the back. It's going to happen from time to time, but like, he's like, I'd much rather that than us change our identity because we were being pressured. So I was like, that's kind of a good answer, actually.
It's a good answer, but it's something that annoys me when I'm commentating on games. When it happens, like when I'm watching the UBC women a lot, UBC women press like crazy. And these teams are trying to play it out the back and they turn the ball over and they give up a goal. And then they keep doing it and they give a goal up. It's like sometimes in the odd game, you do need to change what you're doing, depending on what the opponent's doing to you. Yeah. I heard, like, the feedback I got was Tommy was quite grumpy after the game. Tommy Brody Jr.
He was a little bit, and so was Tom Fields. He was.
The picture that you sent that was shared is like, he doesn't look a happy chap.
he was not. He was not happy. One of the questions was like, what did Tommy say at halftime? And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave that in the dressing room. Or what did Tommy say at halftime or after the game? And he's like, yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah. But Tommy basically said, look, he reminded them at halftime they're undefeated in home openers in April. They're undefeated in home openers in the CPL era, right? Because a bunch of them have been in May in the past. So,
did you find out why there was a bye week last week? I meant to get you to ask that when you were through.
We sort of talked about it because I went on the pregame with him and with Tommy and Marco as well, and I didn't ask the specifics of the reasons why. They were just like, I kind of sort of asked like, hey, are you happy? Like, you lost your opener, so typically you'd be itching at the bit to get back out there and rectify things. But was it really a blessing for you to actually have an extra week to be ready and stuff? And both of them were kind of like, no, it is what it is, and we try to use it to our advantage.
Very odd to have that in week 2.
The pitch was very brown.
Yeah.
Looked dry.
It did not look good.
They did some extra watering. To me, it doesn't matter what it looked. I mean, it does matter what it looks like, but what it looks like is different. Is not as important as how it plays. Right?
Oh yeah,
and I don't think it actually played that badly. It just looked a little bit on the dry side. But the great thing was Vancouver FC was the better team on the day.
Better team in the day. Definitely the better team in the first half. Like Tern Campbell has sort of found a new lease of life. I was a bit sceptical with him coming. Obviously, last year was derailed by injury for him, but I wondered if he'd peaked in the CPL. But he seems to have just got a bit of fire about him. I thought he was excellent in the first half. And VFC had a number of chances in that first half. You could have gone in 2-3 goals up. And I thought that was the best half of football you've played for a while. Well,
I mean, having Nicholas Mosqueda, you now have someone who has some more creativity. You also saw, you're right. Not only does Campbell set up the goal, but a little while after that, he's the one who. It's not Mosqueda who's setting things up in about the 26th minute. It's Fotzing who makes this brilliant run after this poor attempted tackle, gets by it, makes this brilliant run on the field, plays it wide to Kunle Dadaluke, who puts in the cross in.
Who was also good again.
Yeah.
Actually, him and Ba, both the fullbacks, I thought, had a really good game and were causing problems for Cavalry.
On that occasion, Campbell was unfortunately blocked. But yeah, I mean, Wiro even had a good chance in the first half that
oh yes,
Marco Carducci got a really firm right hand to him and put around the post.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that's helping especially if Fotzing can continue to show his quality, and you have Mosqueda, and you have Campbell, and you have Wiro. I think one of the problems is that teams can't just focus on one player. Like I think a lot of times last year, teams would be like, okay, let's lock down Wiro, let's give him no space, let's cut out the service to him. Sometimes even maybe let's double team him a little bit or whatever. And there was a Gabby Batar occasionally who would come to the fore.
But now you've got Campbell and Mosqueda that if you double team Wiro, one of those guys is going to be free.
And you have a guy like Fotzing coming from midfield who's an actual threat.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good pass, we'll talk about it for sure in a minute. He set up Kevin Pogorny at the end of the game, or it's his ability to go forward and maybe have a go himself as well. But it was just really encouraging. It was a fun game. Mosqueda scores. It was a very joyful moment. It's the second time I've seen VFC score at the stadium. First time I've seen them take the lead at that stadium.
I said to Caitlin, I was like, "Oh, Zach's going to be delighted." And she's like, "Oh, is this the game he's at?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it was very nice.
I thought they played well, and I thought there's a lot to take out from it. Cavalry were the better team in the second half, but Vancouver had the better chances, I think, in the second half, because Cavalry just weren't really creating. They were having the ball, and they looked sharper, but I still don't know what this team's going to be, because you can't keep relying on the same players to do this week in, week out. You need a bigger squad, and that's what VFC don't have right now. I mean, hope, certainly, from a lot of aspects of this game, and it could have been put to bed, which is the thing you were just alluding to there.
It was painful, Michael. Like when Fotzing makes that pass and Pogorny's going in alone, we're in that end, and I'm like running.
Yeah, I thought that was it. Game over, 2-0.
Yeah, and that was. I mean, this was after I think Wiro just missed like a ball at a cross from the right side. They just missed almost like an open net tap and diving in.
Was this in? I can't remember if it was in stoppage time or just approaching stoppage time.
It was the 91st minute.
Right. So yeah,
Kevin goes in. We run up. We're like at the edge, ready to celebrate. He tries to round Marco, which I don't have a problem with that. And Marco does incredibly well to get his hand on it. Right. Marco shows his quality, shows his experience, and
it was the AFTN difference-making moment of the game.
There you go. And then Pogorny gets the ball back, and again, another chance where he just kind of can't find it. And then, of course, but 4 or 5 minutes later, or 18 minutes later, whatever it was, Kenija Alva gets the ball and plays it wide to Toby, who just kind of turns and shoots, right?
Well, I mean, David Norman. We should mention that David Norman had to drop back to be centre back from midfield because of the injury.
Yeah, so Allen had to be taken off, which was unfortunate because actually this was
He actually had a good game.
It was one of his best games. I mean, some people might think Let's Go Away at the end of the year last year was his best game, but this was, for me, I think my favorite game watching him play for Vancouver FC, where I think he was the most consistent and on the whole complete performance from him as a center back. And he goes off injured, which is not helpful. David drops back, but on the goal, I know you can maybe give David a hard time about this, but honestly, Michael, I mean,
I don't, but I read in Discord, a lot of fans did. They feel he backed off, but if he had jumped in, it just took a touch from Reshevsky and he was past him.
Honestly, Michael, I really just think he's like, oh, Toby's not going to shoot. He's going to run at me. So he turns to play the run, and Toby just turns and shoots. Toby's a quality striker in this league. And a guy
Golden Boot winner.
Yeah, he's a guy we talked about. I kind of wish Vancouver had picked up.
Yeah, I think Tommy Wheeldon said afterwards, if you give him 2 chances, he'll score one of them.
Yeah, Vancouver FC got a lot of crap from the kind of the ending of FC Edmonton, including their equipment and stuff. But Toby was the thing we should have picked up. So he scores this goal, and then it's like, yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was so sad. I kicked those boards at the end of the.
I mean, I felt for you, but also cheered. I tell you what, though, when I saw how much time was left, I said to Caitlin, I think Cavalry's going to go on and win this, and Zach's going to go apoplectic.
Yeah, I was a little concerned, actually. I'll be honest after that this could end even worse. But I was like, well, we could still actually do something.
It was a wide open game, though, in stoppage time.
Yeah.
It was a great ending. Some of the game, like the second half, Cavalry just couldn't get stuff going. So, I mean, it wasn't the most exciting second half, but VFC were doing everything they needed to do. It was their most complete performance of the year. And whether you say just one switch off or one error, whatever, I think you have to give Warshevsky credit for making the most of an opportunity that not every striker is going to bury.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was heartbreaking, but it's the first point on the board. And I do think there is a lot of positives to take from this. And you're going into a derby game now with more momentum and positivity than your opponents are going to have.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of bright spots, I think, in this game. You said, Dadaluke and Ba Wide were good. Fotzing was...
I really like the two of them in the wings.
Yeah.
And I know Ba's been playing more in the middle and he's looked good. Like Ba just in general looks...
Yeah. No, Ba is going to be a significant part of our team this year. But Fotzing obviously was literally like the One Soccer or Gatorade or CPO.
Yeah, all the commentators were singing his praises.
Yeah, he is legit.
It did make me wonder, though, like, if he's that good and he's that good a prospect, what on earth were Montreal doing with him?
Oh, no, I've asked this question. I've literally, part of the answer to this, Michael, is I think there might be some shared agent element to this. I think he might have a similar agent to one or more of the players who have been at VFC. Don't quote me on that part.
Right.
The bigger thing...
The thing is, he knows he's going to go to a team, but he's going to be getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah, well, the bigger thing is, and I think he said this in his, or was said in the press release for him or whatever, but like, he looks at what happened with Grady McDonough and he sees a pathway. Right? I think Kevin Pagorni said the same thing. Kevin Pagorni, I listened to the other day, I was listening to his, they did a video on their goals for the season. And he's like, yeah, I want to do this. And like, after the first season, I want to be sold to Europe. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that would be great.
By the honesty.
That would be great. But, okay.
Well, yeah, for that to happen, he's had a good season.
Exactly. But Fotzing...
But it is also hard for these guys to come to a team that on paper is not a great team.
Again, I think that's a valid criticism, but I think hopefully once these 4 internationals kind of come in, and even just with how things are progressing, I think there's still good potential there. Like I think Mosquito...
I think you've got a good starting 11. It's more the depth, and if injuries come, suspensions come, that's when I think it falls off a bit.
That's fair, yeah, and you saw that a bit in this game. But no, I think Mosquito was brought in partly at the timing around it, I think is connected to this delay for these other people, right? Because Mosquito doesn't have to deal with that. But I think his performances these 2 games have been good. Obviously, scoring is huge. He's been buzzing around and helping set things up. He did the post game. I think his English is
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's definitely
one of our listeners had said they'd be really interested in doing an interview with him. So if you want to do that, I will run that.
Oh, sweet.
Folk have wondered how he got to come back. It's because he's a permanent resident here.
Yeah,
I still don't quite understand how he maintained that, but hey.
Yeah, but he did.
Yeah, it's great for VFC.
And he talked about in the post game how Vancouver is his second home, and he's so grateful that he gets to come back and play football, and be a part of the community in the Lower Mainland. But no, I think there are a lot of positives, but you're right. There are gaps. There are as this game showed, the overall roster has got some shortness to it. I hope Alan Enyu's injury is not a serious one. Vasco needs to keep his head and not.
Yeah, I was going to say stop getting sent off.
Yeah, that would be helpful. But
he's had a few suspensions now. Like, he's such a good player. Like, I think we both think very highly of him. But that is an element of his game which I like, the aggressive element, but you can't get away with it in the modern game.
And this is part of the thing. I think part of what you saw in those first two games is AFTN is still trying to figure out which experienced players can play best with the young players and how many, like the balance of everything, right? So you saw in the first game, it felt a little bit more leaning towards the experience. In the second game, it felt a little bit more leaning towards the youthful side. This game was more of a needs must, and it was an interesting combination kind of the two. But there was really good results. So how is that going to impact things going forward, and how will things like Vasco Fry being available, or Alan Enyu being injured, or Mehdi's educational situation or whatever, how are those things going to kind of play into it? The only thing is there should be a deeper, hopefully, bench for this game, but it's a massive game because it is Pacific, and all those games are all the BC derbies are massive, and so
and it's the first of two in quick succession as well, because it's also the Canadian Championship game. Yeah. So I mean, we'll talk about Pacific in a sec. Last little bits about VFC. It's been an interesting week, both on and off the pitch. Some folk may have seen this, some folk may have seen stuff on social media. But it was a week of turmoil, I guess is a word you could use, behind the scenes, as a front office that is not big to begin with, just got rid of 4 key members this week, including, I think, the whole marketing team. I don't know if there's anyone left in that, but primarily the marketing team as well. Stephanie Wood, who worked to get Pacific off the ground and made the move to Vancouver FC. I think, was she vice president of marketing? Yeah.
She joined Pacific in their second year.
Second year? Oh, I thought she was with them from the start.
No, my understanding is she joined them in the second year. But
yeah, she'd come over, and she was one of the 4 people let go. And I have a lot of time for Steph. I like Steph. I've maybe criticised some of the marketing of the club, and some of that might fall on Steph, and she certainly hasn't agreed with me in all aspects of my thoughts on Vancouver FC. But she was let go. Beau Chevalier as well, who, great guy, does all the social media and stuff as well, and photos. Kyle Rowe and Mark Marshall was the 4th name as well. And we're both hearing different things from different sides that are similar, but kind of different.
First off, I just want to say a massive thank you to all 4 of them, because they all played really significant roles in the laying the foundation for Vancouver FC as a football club. Obviously, Steph was kind of like, as from my understanding, I want to say like the second hire after John Rogers. It was instrumental in so many different elements of the club. And remember, these are Canadian football clubs that don't have massive groups of people running them. They have a smaller, intricate group of people running them. Yeah, Steph was huge. So I just want to thank them. Like you said, Steph and Beau and Kyle and Mark all were people who did so much for our club. And yeah, I know we'll have conversations maybe down the road about like, did everything they do come off the way they had hoped? Yeah, obviously not. That's part of life. But I think the things that they did do, there's a lot to be applauded and to be thankful for. And so I'm personally thankful, and I thanked them privately, and I want to thank them now publicly. And hopefully we can maybe look at elements of this or what this means going forward down the road. But it is a massive loss. And one of the things, especially about Steph, is she's someone who understands football. And so that's
my big concern, because I don't know that you've got a lot of football people in the front office now.
Especially with Mark and John Rogers both having moved on as well.
Yeah.
Previously.
That's a worry to me, I've got to say.
I mean, Ben Fisk is there, so he has, football.
He's got the football side, but it's like he's just stopped playing. It's like he hasn't got the business experience that someone like Steph has.
Yeah.
As much as we love Ben as a person, it's like he's not that experienced guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of clubs are going down this road, because what we will say is, and you might have seen, I think it was Northern Tribune that wrote an article about this as well. It's citing sources within VFC saying it was performance related, which those 4 people would vehemently kind of say that their performances were good. A lot of clubs now, we've seen it with Vancouver Rise, they got rid of their director of communications and brought in an outside PR and marketing agency. Pacific do that. There's some other NSL teams as well that don't have a full-time person for media or for marketing, and it's kind of outsourced. And I don't like that, but in this day and age when money is very tight for all these teams and these clubs are losing money hand over fist, it does make sense to not have full-time people and to maybe have people on contracts that are getting a fraction of the price, but can they bring the expertise?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to say. I think for now, I think is worth saying is, even though, yes, it's true, finances or the use of finances, where funds are allocated, I think probably both in terms of personnel, but in terms of executing roles, I think Vancouver FC is looking at a different way to do that. Now, some people have taken that to mean, Michael, that Vancouver FC is in financial trouble.
Yeah.
I would say that Vancouver FC is in a similar, if not the same boat, to the other 7 football clubs that make up the Canadian Premier League, where finances, and the annual losses are a concern, and you like to see those diminish year over year. And that's not what
we just talked, I think, last episode, the league's given Valor a loan to keep them going for this season.
Yeah. So let me just say this. From my understanding, Vancouver FC is not in the financial trouble that would see them fold or relocate or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the thing, because everyone was like, when
they're moving to Kelowna.
There's financial things, it's like, they're going to go to Kelowna.
No, that's not where things are at, or as I understand it, anywhere close to that at this moment. So people who are thinking that, your fears should be diminished, and those who are promoting that kind of thing, just know it's not true, or it has no basis in reality as far as been related to me by various people. But yeah, the club is looking at, okay, how can they do things differently with the resources they have? And like you said, yeah, there's ways to do that. And they have other people in the organization who have some experience in doing that outside of a football context, but doing that when it comes to, the business of sport or whatever. So this is not an easy thing. The bigger thing, Michael, is, for me, life is all about relationships and about building relationships and how those play out and how those are meaningful to you. And yeah, I think with each in their own way, these 4 people were people I had a lot of respect for and that had meaningful relationship. The people the group I'm a part of, the Fanatics, had deep relationships with these people, because these were the people we were working with on game day ops and all those kinds of things, and making things these are the people we were verifying the things we wanted to do, make sure that they would work and we'd be able to pull them off. And so it's very difficult relationally at this moment, and there are elements of this, which again maybe we'll talk about on future podcasts, that have implications for supporter culture.
Yeah, because I want to see how a couple of things play out. And I know we're being a little bit cryptic here, but obviously there's a home match coming on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's, Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday, sorry.
5 o'clock.
My game's Sunday at Willoughby.
5 o'clock Saturday, tickets available. Come and hang out.
Lots of tickets. But no, I know we're being cryptic and we're not trying to just be dicks about this, but I just want to see how some things play out before we say too much more, solely because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Now, you're a little bit more clued in than I am. You have regular meetings with all aspects of this as well. Looking in from afar, I do feel the marketing missed the mark. And I do feel that it's not because of marketing that the crowds are low. You need to have a winning team on the pitch, and that will get fans in. But it's still always going to be a hard sell, and I think that has to be realised as well. If it's cost-saving, fair enough. You just have to make sure whatever outside agency you go with has the right football knowledge and not just business knowledge. Because I think there has been some big successes. The Cherry Blossom kit, which I'll come in a sec about a different thing as well, I thought was massive. It got so much good publicity for Vancouver FC, and that was the baby of Steph Wood.
Yeah, Steph does all the kits, yeah.
And that was great. But then you missed the mark. We won't go into the whole name thing. We've covered that ad nauseum. But I just feel it hasn't had the connection with the local community that it's maybe needed to do. But does marketing dollars do that? I mean, the team's getting out to schools, they're getting out to youth groups. How much more can they do? You can't physically force people to come along to the games. Mm-hmm. Even a winning team doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a packed stadium. It's a tough market in a very crowded sporting landscape that's going to get even more crowded when you've got a professional women's hockey team coming that's going to be getting announced next week.
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation. We'll talk to a few more people involved. We'll maybe have a few more things to talk about this on the show next week. It's sad. And it's sad to see anyone lose their job. I might have had disagreements with some of these people in the last year or so just about the direction of the club, but I've a lot of respect for all of them. I reached out to a couple of them in particular. Mark Marshall, who was in charge of corporate partnerships, it was just a few weeks ago that the club was heralding how many corporate partners they had. It was a record-breaking year. And I'd imagine a lot of that credit goes down to Mark Marshall.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would like to say, you use the word cost-cutting. Again, it might be partially cost-cutting, but again, on the personnel side, yes, they are probably going to save some dollars. But on how they're implementing or how they're using dollars, I think that's where supposedly there's going to be maybe some strategic shifts. Now, will they move the needle? I don't know. The other thing I want to say in terms of, from my understanding is there's no imminent danger of the club moving or relocating or folding or having, worse financial issues than anyone else in the league. But also, and you said, it's a Pandora's box we're not going to reopen. But the name, I know some people have been like, oh, now's the time to rename things. Yeah, I don't see that happening either at all.
I don't, but I think they should consider it. If they're going to stay in Langley or they're going to stay in the Valley, which they will, I still think Fraser Valley FC would have been the way to go. You would just have got a lot more buy-in. One thing that I've learned as a non-Vancouverite person is folk are very proud to be from the Valley and not from Vancouver.
As someone who's lived the majority of my life in the Fraser Valley, I hear what you're saying, Michael. But you do realize that it's not. There's layers to this.
I know, because Rob said he wants recognition for when they're on a global stage, but he's not got a team that's going to get to that point anytime soon. So does that really matter? Right. They're not going to be in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Right, but the Fraser Valley Bandits play at the Langley Event Center, right?
Yep.
And what are they called now, Michael?
Vancouver Bandits. Didn't like that either.
And I know some people who don't like that.
Yeah.
But that's a reality that's tied into the very stuff, I think, also that...
No, I do get that. We won't rehash all that again. But, one other thing I think they need to stop doing, and we've talked about it in the show before, and we haven't talked about this before recording, so I don't know what your thoughts on this are.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all for banter. And having fun little digs at other clubs and stuff. But Vancouver FC had a little pop at the Whitecaps this week because the Whitecaps brought out a limited edition jersey that had some cherry blossoms on it and a scarf as well. It's not a full cherry blossom kit. It's not as good as the Vancouver FC one. As I just said, one of the best things that they've done. But then had a little fun thing saying, it's like deja vu, basically saying the Whitecaps had copied them and played Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo, not Rodrigo. At least if you're going to have a pop, spell the person's name right, that you're having a pop. But the Whitecaps had a cherry blossom scarf 6 years ago. So they actually had the cherry blossom stuff before Vancouver FC existed. So don't have pops like that. It doesn't make you look good, especially when people like me retweet it and then all the Whitecaps fans just pile on them. Because every time they have a pop, I'm going to have a little pop back at them.
You know how I feel about banter in general. To me, it's absolutely and utterly useless. Everyone who do what you want to do, but to me, it's like if everyone took all the time that they spend having banter online with people, and instead, I don't know, made a two-stick at home or a railing banner
productive.
at home, or did something productive to support their club, all the stadiums would be a lot better. All the stadiums, not just the stadium I choose to attend.
Yeah, every single team. Like we're seeing it around the Miami match. It's like there's already Miami fans trolling Whitecaps fans and vice versa. And it's like, use that energy to support your team. Your team. Ignore the other team.
Yeah. So I don't know. Because of these changes, I don't know who's the person who made.
I wondered that.
Although with the wrong spelling, I have a guess who maybe you and I will talk about after.
I have an idea as well.
I think we might be thinking about the same person. And it's no disrespect to that person, but I think we might be thinking about the same person. Anyways, But to me, that's another thing where it's just like, I mean, if you're Vancouver FC, and again, this is my subjective opinion, but you've also stated the exact same one already, but like the cherry blossom kit you have created is far superior. So just let that speak for itself. You don't have to go out because your fans are going to say stuff anyways. Mm-hmm. You as the club's official handles don't have to go out and trumpet what you've done because you've done the best, right? So you don't need to go and say, "Hey, we did it better than you." I know they weren't saying that; they were saying deja vu or whatever.
Yeah, but see, if they'd said, "Oh, ours was better," I would have gone, "Yeah, fair play, it was."
Oh, you just didn't like the banter.
Okay. I just didn't like how they were basically well, we did this first. It's like, well, other teams have had cherry blossom kits.
Yeah, none as good as Vancouver FC, but yeah.
No, I mean, I still wish I'd got hold of one of those, actually. It's like, if Steph's listening to this, if you've any kicking about that you want to get rid of now, if you've got them at home, just give me a text and we'll sort that out. We are going to go for coffee soon, so.
But no, I don't like this stuff in the same way I didn't like Sean Hundel's comments. I thought they were stupid.
Yeah.
And they're not helpful. But I will also say, Michael, that for the majority of people reading these, none of these things are moving the needle for these people.
No,
these
I know.
People are who are
I know
entrenched.
that I can just light the torch paper and then the other folk will just take it on. So
yeah. So the people are like, for the most part, the people who are like, hey, you're not broadening your fan base. That's, to me, that's not the issue. The issue is actually, I think one of the other issues which was brought to my attention by some of our people is, it's actually, you got to remember, it's not the, hey, you're not engaging those fans. It's you're actually, a lot of your fans like multiple football clubs in the Lower Mainland, and you might be annoying them. So maybe it's not the best to annoy them.
Yes, that is something I've said for a while. But let's draw the line under Vancouver FC, quickly round up the rest of the CPL action.
Another great week.
Entertaining games.
Yeah.
3 games with 95th minute goals. That's like, you've got to stay to the end in the CPL.
We didn't talk about the Cav Vancouver FC game was the TSN broadcast.
Oh, yeah. That was the game of the week.
Yeah.
Friday night at 4:00 Pacific time. Not ideal, but better than nothing.
Easy for people to PVR.
Yeah, it was Good Friday. It was almost a fantastic Friday for you, but it didn't quite work out that way. But there was games on the Saturday.
As we were singing in our car, Michael, Friday's good because Sunday's coming.
I like Monday because it is cheap chocolate day. But Ottawa 3, York 2, very entertaining game. Yeah. Julian Altobelli got his first start for York, opened the scoring in the 11th minute with a brilliant flying header.
Yeah,
it's his third of the season now. But then Ottawa, they look the real deal. I think they are really going to give Forge a run this year. I know we've got a small sample size of 3 weeks, and my hyperbole is through the roof here, but 2 goals in 5 second half minutes between the 51st and the 56th. So Ottawa tie it up, then took the lead. The first one was from Sam Salter. That at first I thought was a sublime goal, and then when I saw it back, I was like, oh, it just got deflected and went up in the air.
We were talking about it as if I came into here's the crazy thing. We got back from our trip, Michael. I was like putting my luggage away. I come back and my kids I heard this like hilarious laughter coming from downstairs. Like, what comic show are they watching right now? And I come downstairs and they're watching the CPL highlights. My son and my daughter. They're like, Dad, you got to see this. You got to see these goals.
Oh, yeah. There's some fun ones coming up. The second goal that saw Ottawa take the lead was a banger from Manny Aparicio, though.
Yeah.
That was a cracker. And I thought Ottawa would see the game out. Riley Ferrazzo now tied it up in the 83rd minute with one of my favourites, a cross-come shot.
No, this is a mishit cross, Michael. This is yeah, you can keep the innuendo to yourself. This is just, if you look at it, I think actually he's a right-footed player coming down the left wing, and he realizes I have to cross it on my left. And I might be wrong. Maybe he is left-footed. But I'm pretty sure he's right-footed. And he's like, I got to put it on my left. I'm just gonna cross it, and then it ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah, it didn't look as. It didn't make me think, oh, did he mean that? Like Ronan Kratz in week 1 for Pacific. But yeah, I thought that was it. I thought it was going to be a draw, but
no,
another 95th.
Forget about that. Did you see what happened in the 93rd minute? What's his name? Rodriguez, the guy. Yeah, the guy who scored in both the games for Ottawa so far. He goes in alone, rounds the keeper, and has an empty net. But again, he's left-footed, and he has to go with his right foot.
And it ends up in the side netting.
Yeah, ends up in the side netting. They should have won it there. And I was
I thought, they've just blown their chance. But in the 95th minute, they do get the winner. Free kick comes into the box. It falls to Noah Abatne. And we didn't mention this, but Diego Urtiago got his first starting goal for York. We were speculating last week whether he was going to be coming in to replace the 20-year-old, and indeed he did. But he went down in instalments to try and get to this one. Oh, it was... He's got to do better there. He's got to get down quicker.
No bueno.
No bueno. So a 3-2 win for Ottawa and looking good. Next up in a triple header, Vancouver FC's opponents next weekend in the Derby Pacific. The long trip to Halifax. Halifax, their hot start continues. Wesley to Mateo opened the score in the 19th minute. Ryan Telfer made it 2-0 in the 65th. Dario Zanata, who was on the bench, came on, pulled one back 6 minutes later. Basically an immediate impact after just coming on. Marco Bustos with the assist. And then Pacific pushed hard to try and find the equaliser, but as they were pushing, caught on the counter in stoppage time in the 95th minute, and Johan Bai just tucks it away, and 3-1 win for Halifax sent the crowd home happy. Pacific travelled short-handed for this one, and then they lost Daniel De Pauli to injury just 26 minutes in. And we've spoken before, there's kind of like a gentleman's agreement, I think. I don't think it's an official agreement because some teams haven't quite stuck to it, that for the long trips that teams won't bring the full complement of subs. Mm-hmm. I'm taking it as for cost. You've got 2 less players' flights, 2 less players' hotel, 2 less players' food, but they need to stop it. It's like these teams, you're not doing the teams any good, you're not doing the league any good. You need to have full benches. Unless it's you're hit by injury and you don't have players, you need to be taking the full complement of players. Ridiculous.
I think so. This is frustrating. Again, I understand why they do it. It's frustrating because it does hurt the image of the league. And I assume Vancouver FC is going to... I assume the Cavalry thing wasn't that. I might be wrong. I don't know. We'll find out and talk about it later. The Pacific trip to all the way to Halifax, I assume it was based on that.
At least they had a good variety, unlike Vancouver, who didn't bother to bring a defender. But then, did you even have another centre-back that you could have had on the bench? Because I was thinking about that, and it's like, who would it have been? Because I guess David Norman is a de facto centre-back, so it's like you're kind of, if we get an injury, we just move David back.
Well, Joey's on the roster and has played a lot of centre-back, although actually I'd like to use him as a right back.
Watched Joey Buchanan playing on Friday night, actually, and was excellent for Langley United in their win over TSS.
In the preseason, Emmerich Fotzing played a bunch of centre-back.
Oh, actually, yeah, you told me everyone is having a shot at centre-back at some point. Paris G. Oh, Paris G.
Oh, Paris G. That's the one everyone was like, where is he?
Yes.
We'll have to find out what happened to him. Although, in both the opening games, he did not cover himself in glory defensively.
No.
Each game, he had at least one of the goals where he was beaten badly on.
I'm still wondering where Jovan Mann is for Halifax because he wasn't in the 18. And also missing for Ottawa, Brett Levi's. I don't know if he got
injured. He got injured in week 1, I think.
Yeah, I remember a tackle and I thought he was okay from it, but
it's
already.
Unfortunate Brett thing, yeah. In this game, the Timoteo goal was a really nice finish from the top of the box. Love seeing Bustos, set up Zanata, 2 players who I have a lot of time for.
Yeah.
As much as I don't want their team to do well, I have a lot of time for them.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see them do it this weekend in Vancouver.
Not so much, Michael. Not so much. But I'm ultimately glad that Halifax won this match because, it does help, hopefully, with the mentalities kind of going into this game.
Well, yeah, as I said at the start of this, which feels like 2 hours ago now, this is always our longest part because it's Zach's most passionate bit. But it's been a fun league to watch this year, and there has been a lot of things to talk about. But it's like Vancouver's going into that derby now with, gutted that they threw away 2 points, but still a lot to take from it. Whereas Pacific, their one win this year was against a poor Valor side, and it's like they're thinking, oh no, are we having these same issues again? And defensively, where they were so solid last year, they've looked a little bit shaky. Yeah. But the last game, not a lot to talk about from it. It wasn't a great game, it has to be said. Forge won, Valor won. The other VFC got their first points off the season just when Vancouver thought they weren't going to finish the weekend bottom. Valor somehow got a point at Forge. I never saw this coming, I've got to say. I said, what's the most surprising road point this weekend? I think this was the most surprising road point because I thought Valor were going to get spanked. But the best performance was definitely Vancouver off the two. 2 scrappy goals in this one. Shan Hundle grabbed Valor's opening in the 11th minute. The ball just kind of came to him a couple of yards from goal. I think I could have put that one away.
Well, but no, it was set up by Twardek, who they spent it
was set up. It was a scrappy finish.
But it was like a bicycle kick pass.
Yeah, but a scrappy finish.
It was just a tap in.
And then Brian Wright tied up.
If you haven't seen this goal, and you're having a bad day, or you just need to laugh. This was the one that my kids were laughing at the top of laughing their heads off. And I was like, what is going on in my living room? And they came to Dad, you have to see this. It is hilarious.
It was one of those goals that as a TSS supporter, I'm like, I do have a bit of hope.
Cross comes in and the shot gets blocked and it goes 18 miles in the air. And then, what's his name? Visconti? He goes up to claim the ball, but it hits the crossbar and drops to right. And he just taps it in the empty net. And you can see as he's walking back, as the keeper's walking back up, you can see the look of disgust on Rocco Romeo's face.
Yeah. Talking of Wrights, just to end this part, do you remember Lyle Wright?
Yes.
Was with York.
Yeah.
Went to Whitecaps 2.
Yeah.
Then last year was playing with Cavalry. Do you know what he's doing now?
Australian League?
An unused sub for Langley United against TSS on Friday night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a...
His stock's fallen.
The other part of this game, which we have to mention, is Forge could have or should have won it, right? With the penalty?
Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot about the penalty.
with our favorite...
Forget about that.
Our favorite own goal? Owen goal? Damn Nimick.
Yes.
His first penalty, he scores lots of penalties. His first penalty for Forge.
Did you hear the shout to Visconti just before he struck it?
No.
From one of the Valor guys. The guy shouts, "It's okay, you know where he's going with this."
Oh, I did not hear that. Oh, my.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was not a well-taken penalty.
No.
And but it was a good save. As much as I don't rate Visconti.
It was a good save.
You got to credit the keeper.
Don't want him getting too much penalty practice, just in case we've got a 0-0 coming up in the Canadian Championship. Although the way TSS are defending, that's not going to happen. But that is our CPL roundup and all the on and off the field happenings this week. We've got one more part to go. We're going to turn our attention to the other domestic league in Canada. Oh, imagine saying that now. The Northern Super League. And we'll be chatting about that after this episode's Britpop song.
Hi, I'm Dario Zanata, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our Britpop song for this episode. And it's probably one of the best known Britpop songs, I think. Oasis. Some might say the first single, taken from the band's second album, What's the Story? Morning Glory. It gave the band their first UK number one and was released on April 24th, 1995. 30 years old now, that song. Dates me so much. One of their best songs as well. And some might say that we will find a brighter day. And I think that is the case in Canadian soccer right now. Because so much to look forward to the World Cup next year. The national teams are doing well. The CPL is going from strength to strength. The Whitecaps are doing it in League and Cup. And of course, this past week, the newest soccer league in Canada, the Northern Super League, kicked off with a pair of matches. The inaugural match in front of just over 14,000 fans at BC Place on Wednesday evening. A 1-0 win for hometown team Vancouver Rise, and that was followed by the second game on Saturday, a sold-out lower bowl at BMO Field in Toronto, saw Montreal Roses come away with a 1-0 victory against AFC Toronto, thanks to a very early goal in that one. A league record of 14,500 set for that game, so higher than the game at BC Place. Although it should be noted that there definitely were empty seats in that lower bowl. So whether it was just people that had bought tickets and hadn't turned up, or the tickets were bought to make it a sellout, you can make your mind up on that one. We won't talk too much about that game. Do want to focus a little bit though on Vancouver Rise's inaugural win in the inaugural match on Wednesday evening. Quinn making history with the league's first ever goal. A 22nd minute penalty after Holly Ward was brought down in the box. Holly Ward, incidentally, excellent in that game. My player of the game, a star in the making, my clear woman of the match in that inaugural game. I've got to be honest, didn't think it was a great game. 16 shots between them. Vancouver, 4 shots on target. Calgary unable to get a shot on target at all. Bit of a physical game, I didn't mind that. I thought that was good to see. It was clear that the teams had some nerves, the emotions of the day was getting into it, and it's kind of what the quality of the football is going to be like in, say, a month's time will also be interesting to watch, as well what kind of media coverage the league gets in a month's time, what kind of crowds the league is getting in a month's time. Once all the inaugural games are out of the way, once summer starts to kick in and other things are there to occupy people's time, finances and attention, what is the eyeballs on this league going to be like? If you're an extra subscriber, we had an NSL special that came out on Thursday evening with some audio from Diana Matheson, Christine Sinclair, Christina Litz as well, from the pre-game Matchday -1 press conference. Also had some audio from Rise head coach Anja Heiner-Moller, as well as Wild head coach Lydia Bedford. So if you're not a subscriber, check AFTN. You can find out how you can be one. $30 a year, $3 a month. Supporting and donating to AFTN, and you get fun extra podcasts like that one. That was episode 99, incidentally, so we've got episode 100 of our extra podcasts coming out in a couple of weeks' time. We'll try and do something a little bit special for that one. But back to this game, I mentioned on that extra podcast that we'd have a little bit further coverage in the next AFTN Soccer Show, so that's what we're going to bring you for the rest of this part. Now, I mentioned about the media aspect and how much media eyes will be on the league once these inaugural games are out of the way. For that to happen, the league really needs to get its media house in order. And I know for a lot of people listening to this, for fans at the game, that's not an important side of it to them. But to grow this game, you really need to publicise this league. I think the Rise did a good job in letting people know that this match was on. It was still a tough sell, being midweek, clashing with the Canucks' last home game of the year. The amount of games that have taken place in Vancouver this year, 8 Whitecaps games alone at BC Place. It's been a very, very busy time of it. A lot of strain on people's time and finances. But getting a crowd of over 14,000 I thought was excellent. The media aspect of it, though, not so much. They didn't put the pre-game press conferences or the chats with Diana Matheson, etc. out on social media, out on their website, out on YouTube. And that's what they needed to do, I felt, to grow it. That's why we kind of brought the Matheson, Sinclair and Litz press conference to you in full in the extra podcast, as well as some other stuff on top of that. Post-game as well. The post-game press conferences weren't recorded. This was such a historic moment that they needed to really have that out there, let people hear the emotions. Players weren't made available after the game either. You were only getting the players that were put up, one for each team. And it wasn't ideal. I don't think it was a great way to sell the league. Speaking to some of the other media after the match, it also seems that most of them aren't going to be covering the league on a regular basis. Maybe the odd match here and there. But it is something they need to work on. They need to work on the media aspect and get that better. I know it's a new league, but they really need to take a leaf out of the CPL's book. You can get access to all the pre- and post-game press conferences through one of the Google Drives, and you can get all the audio from that. You can do what you want with it, and really that's what the NSL do need to do going forward. Do want to give a big shout out though to AFTN's very own Felipe Vallejo, who is freelancing with the Rise at the moment. He put together the game notes for that game on Wednesday night, did an absolutely fantastic job, and he is an asset to that Rise team. So I look forward to working with Felipe and a new comms person, Sarah, as the season goes on, to bring you chats with the players and just more coverage around this team. Going to bring you a little bit of post-game audio just now though, and just some questions from myself and Gemma from Canadian Press to the victorious head coach Anja Heiner-Moller and to the person that made history with the first ever goal in the NSL, Quinn. Let's hear what they had to say after that 1-0 win.
Anja, perhaps you could just start with how it feels to be part of that one.
Well, it felt huge coming in and feeling the support even before we started the game. We could really feel the crowd every time we were on the wingers doing 1v1s or getting close to the box. The whole stadium just came alive, and yeah, great support in here and a great start of this league, definitely.
And Quinn, you come in as a very accomplished player, Olympics and NWSL. Where does scoring the first goal in this league's history rate for you?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool moment. Not one I thought I'd have. I score goals few and far between, but I think it was just exciting for our team to get on the scoreboard. I think that was a bit of a relief for us. So that was, it was just such a team effort getting to that point, and it was really exciting to celebrate as a team.
Quinn, this occasion everyone was building up to, and a lot of pressure can get to players on an occasion like this. Did it live up to what you were expecting? Did you feel any pressure or nervousness on the pitch?
Yeah, I think it was bigger than I was expecting. I think I've been in some really big games, and so I thought, oh yeah, this will be easy to handle. But then definitely stepping in on the pitch and seeing Diana Matheson and Christine Sinclair with the ball and just kind of sinking in how much work's been done to get to this moment. I think I just took that time, and that was a pretty surreal moment for me. So it definitely kind of hit my heart in a different way than I thought it would, for sure.
Anja, Holly Ward was excellent out there tonight. The game plan certainly seemed to be give her the ball and see what she could do with it. Can you just talk a little bit about her performance and what she's going to mean to this team going forward?
What was most important for us was that all the players were having the courage to make an impact. And I think that courage definitely showed on our sides and also, all over the field. But again, when the wingers had the ball, they wanted to go 1v1, and that's the entertainment we want to get in there. Just great to have that confidence on those positions where we want to attack.
Anja, for you personally, you're now in history books as the first coach to get a win in the league. Danish coaches seem to be doing pretty well in Vancouver at the moment. It's just, how do you feel in this moment, just as a personal achievement in everything that you've achieved in the game?
Oh, I don't feel like a personal achievement at all. This was a team, and this was the city of Vancouver. It was the whole club. All the team's messages, the whole day has just been buzzing with all the people getting all of this ready. And I feel like we really succeeded in getting people in and having the atmosphere we wanted. And from down the field, it looked so beautiful, and we could hear them in there. So all of that. As a Dane, the pressure is on. These two guys, they're really pushing. So, but it was just great to have the whole team in here and feel the whole crowd and the support, and start with a win. That's the best start you can have.
Are you and Jesper going to have a little friendly wager who's got the best record by the end of the season?
Yeah, well, those two, they like to brag, so they're definitely going to push to us. So that's all right. We're just getting started, so yeah.
Anja Heiner-Moller and Quinn there speaking after Vancouver Rise's 1-0 win over Calgary Wild on Wednesday night. And the Danish coaches really lighting it up here in Vancouver at the moment. You love to see it. And if you saw the video that went up, I think it was on the Whitecaps YouTube channel, of Jesper and his assistant and Anja just interacting, having a lot of fun. They all get on very well. Also have to give a shout out as well to Anja's husband, Kenneth Heiner-Moller, who's in as sporting director down in San Diego for their inaugural MLS season. They've got off to a fantastic start down there as well. So the Danes doing very well in North America at the moment. And once all the initial hullabaloo is out the way, we're going to sit down with Anja and have a chat with her, get to know her, bring her story to listeners on the show. Next chance to see the Rise in action on the pitch next weekend, Sunday, April 27th, in the rearranged Swangard opener. Not going to be a double header now with WFC 2, as the Twos game that was meant to kick off at 3 o'clock has been pushed back to 7 o'clock just to allow for teardown and to get all the different tarps around the stadium. Great for me. I'm actually commentating on Sunday out in Langley on the Vancouver Rise, funnily enough, as Langley United take on Vancouver Rise and Vancouver Whitecaps in League 1 BC action. So I'll have the calls on those games at 2 o'clock and 4:30. Then I can head down to Swangard and catch WFC2 in action. So I'm quite happy that one was pushed back. But if you're around on Sunday, either get out to Langley and watch the League 1 games or head along to Swangard and take in the Rise and WFC2 games. Exciting times for the women's game, exciting times for the NSL. And one Whitecaps player that is a part of it all is Sam Adekugbe. The Calgarian was announced as part of the Calgary Wild ownership group and a club ambassador. So I got a chance to catch up with Sam at Whitecaps training this week just to ask about his involvement with the Wild, how it came about and how important the growth of the CPL and the NSL are for young players coming through in the game in Canada. So Sam, big day today. Calgary Wild play their first match in the NSL. You've part of the ownership group. How did that come about, and why was it important for you to kind of give back to the community there?
I grew up in Calgary. That's where I started my professional journey, and I wanted to give back to the community. And so Deanna Zumwalt, who's the CEO, reached out to me about the possibility, and it was something I couldn't turn down. It's a chance to be a part of the women's soccer and also give back to the community.
Yeah, I know, like with your brother being in CPL, it's so important to have these leagues, to have these opportunities for players coming through. I mean, you were out at the York game, seeing your brother and your old friend Nico as well. I mean, having these opportunities for guys like that, just talk about the importance of that.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, you want to have some sort of football system within the country, and with the growth of the CPL, we've seen many players who haven't had the opportunities in their career start to make opportunities for themselves, and my brother's an example of that, and that's no different for women's soccer as well. We want the game to grow, especially with the World Cup coming, and everybody wants to be a part of it.
Like when you were a young kid coming through, the opportunities weren't there. With the World Cup here next year, all eyes are on soccer. How big can you see the sport getting here in this country?
Yeah, massive. I mean, any country where the World Cup goes to, we see an uprising in soccer, kids who want to play soccer, and it's no different with 26. We think, if I'm not mistaken, I think soccer is one of the biggest sports in Canada for kids, and it'll go exponentially, and for the right reasons as well. Soccer is a great sport, and I want every kid to be a part of it, as well as women as well.
I'll let you go.
Thank you.
Cheers, man. Sam Adekugbe there, talking about his part ownership in Calgary Wild, and just really the growth of the game here in Canada certainly has helped his brother Elijah having the CPL, and he's carved out a good career in that league. And it's great to see players like Sam giving back to the community, giving back to the game here. And I'm sure you'll see more and more of that as the game develops in this country and players start to wind down their careers as well. Always been a lot of rumours about whether Alphonso Davies would want to invest in a new Edmonton CPL team, so that could also be another one to keep an eye on. So as mentioned there, the growth of the CPL, the growth of the NSL, the growth of League 1, absolutely massive and important for growing the game in Canada, taking the game to the next level, capitalising on the 2026 World Cup that's going to be here. And there's always a lot of kind of murmurs as to what kind of relationships all the leagues will have together. Now, CPL and League 1, both owned by Canadian Soccer Business, so a good working relationship there, naturally. But there's always been sort of little digs about, are the CPL and the NSL going to get on, going to work together? Now, Mark Noonan from the CPL has said he wants a good relationship with the NSL. Axel at the Whitecaps and the MLS sides want a good relationship with the NSL. How are the NSL feeling about that? What kind of relationship would they like to have with the CPL and League 1? Well, I put those questions to NSL President Christina Litz after the press conference on Tuesday. Here's what she had to tell me. spoke to your compadre, I guess, in the CPL, Mark Noonan. We did a whole pre-season chat with him. What kind of relationship do you want the NSL and the CPL to have?
Yeah, well, I mean, the CPL has already been so helpful to us. They pick up the phone whenever we call. They share whatever we're looking for. Look, we have common objectives and goals for soccer in Canada. It would be foolish if we didn't figure out the right ways in which to work together. I mean, you heard Diana talk about, as a simple example, the infrastructure and stadiums needed. I think that's an area that we want to look at, working together on. And so, we've been a little bit heads down getting ready for this year, and we've certainly had some great interactions with them to date. And, just looking forward with a little bit of time and able to sit back on, working with them as well as others around the world to build, or in this part of the world, to build soccer, in the popular.
I'm involved with League One here in BC. Where do you see that fitting into things kind of going forward? Obviously, the Rise have their academy in League One BC. Would you like the teams to have academy sides in there? Do you see that as kind of a feeder league into the NSL?
Yeah. Well, I can't so much speak to the League One side right now, but I certainly can say that all of our clubs have ambitions and are at various points in their plans to build their academy system. Again, we want to ensure that we're building those pathways throughout, obviously the most sophisticated out of the gate being Vancouver, and now the former Whitecaps Academy being the Rise Academy. That's certainly the plan wherever. But, look, the talent is going to be playing, at League One and other places, and we'd be foolish not to look at ways to work together on this.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Zach, Christina, they are talking about wanting the working relationship. The leagues both have the same objective, want to grow the game here. What kind of relationship would you like to see between the NSL and the CPL?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because as we talked about many moons ago on the show, the CPL long term wanted to have a women's league.
Mm-hmm. But they were now
they're
getting it off the ground.
Well,
and I understand why, because their men's clubs are losing money hand over fist right now.
Yeah. But now that this other entity exists, which is an entity that has had a change in their initial approach of we'll have nothing to do with the CPL.
Yeah.
And now I think see the benefit of that, of having a relationship. Yeah, hopefully they'll have a good partnership, a good relationship on things that can be meaningful to both of them. Especially maybe, shared stadiums or some of that going on already.
Oh, yeah. That was one of the things Diana Matheson talked about as well, like the need in this country for investment in stadiums and facilities.
But honestly, though, and you and I have talked about this, it was kind of ironic to hear people either from the league or close to the league talk about this like this is a new issue. It was just really like I know there's these whole awkward and unfortunate sex or gender based conversations that are hard to have or whatever, and often there's you don't understand our game or you don't understand where we're at or whatever. But it was legitimately surprising to me that as I listened to interviews and a number of the people connected to the league talk about some of the things that they were shocked to discover were like conversations that had been going on for 20 plus years on the men's side of the game. So it's like clearly some of the following each other's games is a two-way street. It's not just, men may be being ignorant of the women's game. It's actually both ways.
Well, yeah, but
hopefully both sides can educate each other and they can grow and learn, and the game as a whole will grow in all aspects.
But it's also tough in this landscape to get cities to agree to build stadiums when there's housing shortages. And if you're using private money, they still need the land. And where does that land come from when, again, they could be building houses on it? So it is a tough sell. But, for the sport to really grow, we do need more investment in facilities. And we see it here in BC. And we won't go on again about the World Cup legacy that doesn't seem to be happening. But it's like there needs to be more facilities. And I think with the NSL coming in, they have now seen the problem that the men's game have got, which is it's hard to get the stadiums. It's hard for the amateur teams to get fields at the adult level because all the youth teams have hired pitches, or in the summer you've got things like Ultimate Frisbee that hire all the pitches. So Provincial Cup games, they've struggled to get their home ground, their home pitch for the whole year because they've made provincials, but now it's handed over to a different kind of group for the late spring and summer. So it's tough. I hope everyone, though, can get together, pull on the same page. I like that the NSL and the CPL are separate. I think for financial security for both leagues, it's better to be separate. I don't want them fighting against each other. And it does kind of feel just now a lot of the sponsorship dollars is kind of going the way into women's sport because they see this as such a growing opportunity for it. And you've got sponsors like CIBC pulling out the CPL and going into women's basketball. And there's not a lot of money to go around. And it's good that both leagues have some big sponsors on, but they need to be working together and not fighting against each other. I think it is, on the whole, I love to talk about Venn diagrams on this show, but the Venn diagram, you've got your women's soccer crowd, your men's soccer crowd, and there is a crossover. I don't know how big that crossover is.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah.
And that's for both sexes. It's something that it is there, but you've definitely got, and you saw the atmosphere even at the Rise game, very different to the men's game. But yeah, everyone just needs to pull in the same direction and just grow the game.
Well, yeah, I think there's ways in which, again, for stadiums-wise, that I think especially stadiums-wise, that these leagues can be supportive of one another and actually help things to push both forward. I didn't say much about the Rise game. I was working when it was on, but congrats to them on a historic night, on a good crowd, on a victory, and yeah, I think it's really meaningful. Like I was saying, I think in part 3, the people traveled from long ways to come and be a part of that, to celebrate it and to say that they were there and just to support it. So, yeah.
But if you look at Tom and Caroline's photos from it as well, it meant a lot to the people that were there. So many happy, joyous faces in the crowd as well.
Yeah.
But that is it for the football chat for now. We will finish, though, of course, with this episode's wavelength, the section of the show where we play a song all about football. And we're going back to an artist we featured a couple of times in Wavelength already in recent months, out of LA, Cousin Theo. And this is a song from his 2019 Argentine footballer-themed album, Pro Voleta. It features Flashiest Clayton. And I thought it was appropriate to save this one for this episode. There's a big will he or won't he question about this man just now. Is he going to set foot on the BC Place turf on Thursday? We'll find out in a few days' time. This is Cousin Theo, Messi.
This guy plays a different game to any footballer I've ever seen. He's the greatest of all time in my book. He still shines in the majority of games. He still finds the space. He still goes past people. Still scores. Still creates.
Cousin Theo. What up, Flash? Hey, yo. Check it. I break records like I'm Messi in Spain. Show you how to shine bright without the heaviest chain. Left foot on the free kick, I'm steady with aim. Making keepers look stupid like they ready to save. Save face, save grace on the penalty tape. Born 9-15, I'll forever be straight. Sit my Hennessy straight, make sure my legacy straight. These shoulders heavy with weight, keep a machete at 8. I'm at my enemy's gate, because of plenty of snakes playing friendly in face. So me and my dogs playing patient while we cleverly wait. See, I was raised by OGs, treated like heavenly saints. And as long as I'm in the field, y'all will never be safe. Cause the footwork so raw, caught a felony case. Yeah, La Liga try to knock me with the tax evasion. In Argentina, the people, they love me and give me mass evasion. Yeah, I'm in another class of passing greatness. The Giants don't want to clash with David. You gotta understand the path is sacred. You gotta understand the path is sacred.
Absolutely jaw-dropping genius again. What we have seen here is absolutely beautiful.
Point to South essential. My style influential. Chiseled out of bricks, power lift instrumentals. Roundhouse kicks to the temple of the sample. Boundless, my infinite potential is substantial. Pantry full of organic plants and vegetables. And various performance enhancing chemicals. My generals advance with destructiveness. The whole camp's fucking with supplements laced with banned substances. You came with bland sustenance to the event. Just another motherfucker that doesn't represent. Huddled on the bench with the rest of the second stringers. I step in the arena like Messi in Argentina. Progressive 777s in the casino break the bank. People making stank faces when the king display the strength. Prayers from the patron saint of all drug sellers. Mirrors on my face painted on the walls in the favelas.
Cousin Theo featuring Flashiest Clayton, Messi, taken from his 2019 album Provo Letter. That is it now though for the show. Just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online and any final thoughts.
It's at Zachary AM on X, and I think Blue Skies is the same. The not Whitecaps coach Stefan Baumgart had a very interesting week in the Bundesliga. I don't know if I've seen a game like this before, Michael. I think it might happen once before, but his Union Berlin side were hosting Stuttgart, who are trying to, he's trying to avoid relegation, which he's almost accomplished. And Stuttgart's trying to break back into the European places after being sapped from their journey into the Champions League this year. But in the first half, Union Berlin scored 4 goals, which that sounds pretty good, right, Michael?
Yeah.
The only thing is they conceded 4 goals as well.
What, 8 goal first half?
And then, you want to predict what happened in the second half?
No.
Goalless. Anyways, Stefan Baumgart, it was an interesting game. Also from the Bundesliga, shout out to one of our listeners, Aiden Stanky, or Stanka, actually I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, who's a St. Pauli fan. St. Pauli had a massive result today, a 1-1 home draw against Leverkusen, which bolsters St. Pauli's ability to stay in the Bundesliga for a second year, which is significant because it looks like Hamburg is not for certain, but very close to getting promoted. So the Hamburg Derby will return to the Bundesliga. And it also helped Bayern Munich take another step closer to reclaiming the Bundesliga title. And it takes another step towards the ending of that streak that we were all hoping would stay alive, and that is Harry Kane not winning a trophy.
Yeah. Obviously you didn't want that streak to stay alive.
No, I would prefer him never to have played for Bayern Munich or him to have left after last year. I still think he should leave at the end of this year. We should sign Jonathan David on a free. And if we don't sign Jonathan David, or even if we did sign Jonathan David, we should also probably sign Promise David. Because, Michael, if you have DAZN and you're sleeping on watching the Belgian League games or highlights, or even simply the key moments of the match, again, you missed another Promise David brace, a goal from the penalty spot. He drew the foul for the penalty, and then he got the second, which I think ended up being the match winner, because I think it was 2-1. And Promise David is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and he could have been a Whitecap. I don't actually have DAZN at the moment, although I will be buying the boxing next Saturday, and I believe I get 7 days free with the pay-per-view purchase.
There you go.
I cannot wait for. When I was younger, I'm a big boxing fan. Nigel Benn was my favourite boxer, and he had so many big fights with Chris Eubank. Well, he had 2, but it had a big rivalry. And now their sons are fighting this Saturday. They're different weights, but they're making it happen by changing a few things. And they hate each other. It could get really out of hand. It did get out of hand at the pre-game press conference when Eubank smashed an egg in the face of Ben. It all stems from they were meant to fight before. But
was this in America?
No, UK.
Oh, UK. I was going to say, you know how much eggs are costing in America right now?
Yeah, Ben failed a drugs test. but then it was cleared because it came from contaminated eggs. But Eubank doesn't believe that was the case, so he smashed an egg in his face, which was very dangerous because it just missed his eye, and it's like it was.
Oh yeah.
But that is going to be one hell of a fight. 24.95, DAZN. I even made sure that my League One BC game of the week this weekend was the Sunday game and not any of the 3 Saturday games because I don't want to miss this.
Good decision making.
Yeah, but I want to finish with a little fun story.
Oh no.
But I think it's fun. If you're the referee involved, it probably isn't fun. Now, I'm guessing you don't follow the York Football League Premier Division very much. They're 11th tier of English football.
No.
Okay. Well, there was a match on Saturday that was abandoned between Old Malton and Malt Shovel. The referee abandoned the game at half-time because he feared for his safety. He went into the dressing room at half-time, and he actually put a video of this out on social media, and someone had shat in his shoe and smeared shit over his clothes.
Oh, that's a bit much, eh?
Yeah, that does really...
Cross a line?
Cross a line. It's like, I just can't believe someone would do that. So he abandoned the game, and it's obviously going to be a big, big investigation. But it's like, wow. To actually do that, it's like, give your head a shake.
Yeah.
A little bit of fun to end the show. Let's hope we've got a big fun show coming up next weekend. Let's hope we're talking about a big semi. 3 days of fantastic football. Whitecaps on Thursday, East Fife Peterhead on Saturday, boxing on Saturday, and a BC derby.
BC derby, Saturday, 5 o'clock. Don't miss it. It'll be
Hey, if the boxing's finished, I might even come along.
Actually, it's... I was just double checking today, and it's like 60% chance of it.
In that case, I might not.
Yeah.
That'll be the
But it's like, I think like less than a millimeter or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, get out and watch some football. That's what we're saying. Good luck to the Caps. Good luck to Pacific FC. We'll be back with another show next weekend. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon, the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.